Welcome to Beyond the Wild podcast, where we go venturing beyond the gear, beyond the subject, beyond the shot, find the heart of wildlife and adventure creative. Beyond the Wild podcast is brought to you by pictureline.com, your online source for everything photography, and Canon USA. Listen in, we share tips and tactics learned from years of journeying into the wild. Your hosts are Jason Loftus, Ron Hayes, and myself, Mark Raycroft. Let's begin another episode of Beyond the Wild.
Welcome, fellas. Good to see you guys' smiling faces once again. And Mark, especially yours not Jason, I'm not saying I'm not happy to see you.
Yeah, I understand.
But Mark is sporting some new swag. He's ready for winter, even though it's 100 degrees outside. 40 if you're from Canada. He's sporting the brand new Beyond the Wild Toque in forest green. Blends in with his backdrop there.
Yeah.
Sporty.
Yeah, go on the YouTube and check it out.
Now,
it's
kind of a tease because we don't have the store up yet. But
right.
Go ahead, Mark.
It's coming. The merch store is coming. Part of it was I just couldn't resist anymore. I have trips coming up. I want to have some swag to wear and to hand out, and we have all the stickers that you ordered earlier in the year on, so that's cool. But yeah, I just went ahead and ordered stuff, and it's 2 days ago the temperature dropped here. There are leaves changing. The sumacs are turning red. It's a little premature, but it's feeling like fall. There's a sense in the air. The cold enough that I could walk in the woods and didn't have to take my wingman because the bugs were gone yesterday.
Nice.
So yeah, this toque, and I ordered a few other things. So it's always fun to get new swag that represents and for a new year in the field. And it's the same with anybody going in. Reassess your gear and what you have and what you need as far as comfort for layering options and fleeces or cold trips. I'll quick out of the gate. There's other things I want to talk about. Quick pro tip for super cold situations: have 2 layers on your head. That little extra amount of air trap between the winter hats is honestly, when it's like really, really cold, it makes a big difference. Especially if you're sitting still, waiting for animals, not moving, not hiking. Yeah, I got one right out of the gate on you guys already.
See,
but I don't.
And every time we do these things, we think they're going to go fast. We've got these short pro tips. We end up taking off, spinning off these rabbit trails and doing different things. And that, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that's why I wear my Elmer Fudd hat right over the top of my skull cap or toque or whatever you want to call it. It's really warm. But yeah. The only reason the sumacs are turning red here is because they're on fire. There are
such a different extreme.
So there was a string of clouds that went through like a 1 mile wide swath of land, dry lightning, and we have currently 9 wildfires within about 15 minutes of town, both directions, east and west.
More storms coming.
Yeah, more storms coming. So I'm like on call because all the ranchers have been fighting fires they've been fighting fires for weeks now. So they're all kind of worn out. And plus, they can't send everybody out of their place because somebody's got to stay there to watch and make sure no fires start. So they're out helping neighbors. And so there's a lot of people that are on call right now that may end up fighting fire later tonight, depending on the wind. So it is very, very dry and definitely not cool.
Sorry to hear. Yeah, that's very concerning. As we've all seen, that can grow and spread very rapidly, get out of control.
Yeah, for sure.
Humbling.
long fire season.
Yeah.
So let's get to more fun stuff.
But before we
It's a
do,
pro tip episode, right?
yeah. But
What's
what
that, Jason?
about your
Go
new
ahead.
toys, guys? It's so fresh. I mean, are there fingerprints
boy.
on the toys yet? Or not toys?
There are
tools of the trade, gentlemen.
They're toys.
There are fingertips on the. If this is what you're talking about.
Yes, that's it.
We need music.
That's
Or
very
if Jay-Z
fresh.
can throw some dramatic music in there.
Some Jaws theme music. Let's do it again. JG, start it over. Yep. We'll even get him swimming at. The R5 Mark IIs are in hand. There's not a battery either, because with the R5 Mark II, you have to buy new batteries. The LP E6P. Otherwise, you cannot do 4K 120. You cannot do high speed. The high speed shutter. There's a couple other things that you can't do. The pre-record on stills or video without these new batteries. So there are some trade-offs. And the other thing that I thought was going to be awesome.
Hey, wait! This is a pro tip.
This actually is a pro tip. So
Absolutely.
when you're shopping,
So sneaky.
make sure you evaluate what your needs are for a vertical grip. So if you're like me and you like the vertical controls right where they would be if you're holding it in more of a landscape, holding it horizontally, the battery grip that has the fan, I bought it because of the fan and because of cooling, and I shoot a lot of video, so I wanted to have that cooling feature because the body is made with vents on the bottom. So if you look on the bottom, there is an area where airflow can move through the camera body, keeping it a little cooler, because the original R5 had some overheating issues, especially when you're shooting in 8K. And I did experience it a couple times. It took a lot doing wildlife. If you were sitting there filming, like an interview or that type of thing, it's going to overheat. But doing wildlife, it didn't really happen that much because you're not doing continuous video all the time. So the sensor didn't get as hot. But they did put some inactive cooling in the new body, in the R5 II. With that, they also provided the battery grip that had a motorized fan. So there's active cooling, but only if you have the battery grip. I knew there was going to be some of the features like the wheel on the back of the body, which I have set for my aperture. So that wheel was going to be removed. I knew that. I knew there was not going to be a joystick, but I thought that the battery grip would have a shutter activator. It did not. So there's no vertical shutter. So that's not going to work for me. So I'm going to go back to the cheaper option, which is just the regular battery grip with the new batteries. You can't use the old one, which is unfortunate. But the cheaper version still has all the controls in place, and I'm going to go without the active cooling for that reason, because it's multi-purpose. It's there for you to use, and I want to be able to use it, not just have it be a decoration in a $400 fan.
Which, oh, by the way, will eat your battery pretty good too, I'd assume.
Which is going to eat additional battery other than just, what you're using with your camera and the new LEDs and that kind of thing. So, yeah, make sure you evaluate exactly what your needs are before you just go and purchase it. That's pro tip number one from me.
Nicely
just
done.
because I spent the extra money. But yeah, Mark, they're in hand. I'm going to go out tomorrow night. I've got some probably not wildlife. It'll probably be project images that I'm getting tomorrow. But I am going to be out with it tomorrow and use it with the long lens, use it with wide angle, and I will definitely report back the findings. Everything I've heard about it, the focus system is fantastic. A lot of people don't like the placement of the video and stills switch. I kind of do. It's on the left side in the back, where the power button used to be. I like the power switch. I like the fact that you can just switch from video back to stills. And I really like, there's a feature, if you push the record button, you can set it to go back to your custom 3. So your custom 3 setting, so let's just say, for instance, I want 4K 120 every time I want that to be my default for video. I can set the record button so that when I activate it, even if I'm in stills mode, it goes back to that C3 on the video side, and I'm recording 120 frame per second video at 250 frames a second. Or not 250 frames a second, excuse me, 1/250th of a second. I can set that up ahead of time, and that'll be my default when I hit the record button if I'm not in video mode. So that's another new feature that I do really like.
Ron, if they've, I haven't had a chance to dig into mine yet, but do you know if they made it so that you don't lose your settings until you turn your camera off too, if you switch back and forth between video and photo? I know it'd go to your preset, whatever it is, but you know how sometimes when you go back to if you go from photo to video, you do some minor adjustments because you got a preset, you're good, and then you switch back to photo. When you go back to video, you lose those settings you had. Does it maintain those?
I haven't tried it yet, but my understanding is yes, it keeps them. So whatever you were shooting on the video side, which is almost like the R5C was, because you had 2 completely different menus. So it defaulted back to what you were shooting before. So my understanding is yes, when you switch back to stills, if you had it set at 200 ISO, f4 thousandth of a second, as long as your lenses can shoot f4, that's what it's going to go back to.
Right. Okay. It always did on the photo side, but when you went back to video, it defaulted back to your presets. Right. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm curious. That'd be nice if they did that, because for me, the way I shoot, that was kind of a nuisance. But
yeah, agreed. Yep.
I'm excited. There's so many cool features. We'll have to do an actual rundown and give more of our thoughts after we get a chance to give them a good run. But
yeah, I'm going to break out the Ninja and do some recording of the viewfinder as well.
Nice.
And try to get, so I've got a microphone system that'll go right into whatever I'm filming, so we can just talk through it in the field and talk through the different features. And I think, I'm excited about the active hot shoe. There's so many things I'm excited about with this body that are going to make shooting the hybrid style that I shoot a lot better.
I look forward to hearing about it.
So that's one.
Excited.
And thank you for prompting that one, Mark. I was excited to be able to lift that up finally.
This new tech arrives, right? It's every year or 2 or 3 that we get new cameras that have these greater possibilities, and to hear what they're capable of, and then to actually, get the feedback once you've used it, to confirm that. It's
right.
I'm hoping for 5 right now, to be honest. Yes, I thank you for. That's more accurate. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I mean, I don't jump every time they come out with a new camera body and buy it. GoPros, I'll skip about every other one because they make enough technological advancement. Plus, those things are a little bit cheaper, so that it's a little easier pill to swallow. 5 years waiting for a camera like this is probably better on the pocketbook for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And waiting for the technology to change. And it's not the global shutter that everybody kind of anticipated, which is a disappointment, but it's close enough speed-wise that I think it's a big jump. The only concern I've heard thus far is dynamic range, which was supposed to be better, but I'm seeing some conflicting reports. So it'll be good to test it out in wildlife, not in a studio setting, which is where I've seen everybody testing it. And to test it out with wildlife, test it out on the Loftus filter type shots and those shadowy shots, and see exactly what it does, how it performs. So
You still have the R5.
Yeah, I know you were getting. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you still have the first one, Ron? You could set up and
Yeah.
do a side-by-side if you wanted, just in one setting, for
I
instance.
can when it gets back from CPS.
Right.
Evaluated for
Right. A pro tip about rain gear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, when it gets back, I have this one in hand, so it's going in the mail tomorrow, actually. So I need to have it back for September, so because I can run both bodies.
Nice.
Yeah, I was talking to. I know you're getting ready to thank Colin and Pictureline for making sure we get our bodies and all the extras and goodies, and they always take such good care of us. But
I appreciate you bringing that up, Jason. I really want to thank Colin for making sure I got mine first.
I was going there. So, yeah, I mean, Colin, I do have a bone to pick with you, but, no, we're just funning around. But, yeah, it's awesome. Great support, as always. We appreciate those guys for taking such good care of us. But, yeah, I'm excited about the R5 for sure. I think this Mark II is going to be a whole new ball game. And talking to Colin, he said they were doing some side-by-sides, and he said that the color difference with the two sensors with the new sensor is actually pretty noticeable. So the colors are way better, is what he said. So I'm excited to do some of that side-by-side comparison and really get it, put it to the test and see. So lots of exciting things to see if it comes to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a YouTube show or a couple of releases yesterday, and one was showing side by side Fronos, Jared Polin, and the R5 Mark II had noticeably better detail when zooming in. He was just taking pictures around his studio. So at least that's what I did. What I took away from that.
Did you notice any? I haven't watched it, so did you notice any color differences, or just not so much?
I don't
know if he discussed that. Did he?
Color? I didn't get through all of it, to be honest. It was in the wee hours, just calling the end of my day, and I just, because of the timeliness of this and you guys getting it, I started watching it, and it's rare that I don't get right through it. But I saw that part, and it was clear that the Mark II was superior, and I checked that box, and then I fell asleep. But so I didn't get through to know about color, but. It looked.
Yeah, I don't remember him mentioning it, but
the field
I didn't
stuff.
watch the whole thing either, but
yeah, it was a soccer pitch and player, and for the Europeans listening, football. My son's over there right now. Watched it. He saw a Premier game and Premier League opening season game on the weekend. It's huge fan base. My goodness, the number of people. And just a worldly experience. But with Jared Polin's, everything looked great. The tracking, the colors on this player, zooming in, the ISO was from his quick synopsis that what I gathered last night looked really good. So it seemed like it's a good choice. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So we move on and let that rest till you shoot.
Yeah,
sure.
It's your turn, Jason.
Okay, so I've got a gadget one. It's actually it's not a gadget; it's a gear one this time. But I don't know if most of you have probably noticed, using the CF Express cards, that when you dump those cards, most of the readers I've come across, the cards get really hot. I mean, they get warmed, not too hot to pick up and touch, but they're warm. They're real warm. And it's always been intriguing to me. It's like, that can't be good, right? Heat and electronics, that can't be good. So anyways, I heard somebody, I can't remember who told me. I think it was Stan Tequila actually that told me this. But there's a Angelbird makes a CF Express reader, And he swore that using the Angelbird, CF Express reader, that it would not warm up his cards. So I was like, well, I'm going to talk to Colin, see if I can grab one and put it to the test. So I did. And sure enough, the card does not get hot at all, like not warm even. It's incredible. So it works great. The speeds are good. Everything else is the same as any other CF Express reader. And for whatever reason, it doesn't heat up the cards. So in my mind, that's got to be better than, warming those cards up so much. So I think Ron's got one. I know a few other folks have grabbed them too, just because of that very reason. And I don't know if the science behind it or the data or anything else, but in my mind, it can't be good to have those cards getting so warm all the time. But so hopefully that extends the life of my cards. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't do a thing for it. I don't know. But in my mind, it seems to be a better than getting so warm. So, and that works really good. And it's worked just like Stan said it would. So.
Yeah, he let me use when we were out shooting loons on a workshop in Minnesota with Stan. He let me use his card reader just to show me the difference. And I dumped 2 cards, one with mine, one with his. And it was crazy. I mean, it came out of that Angelbird cool.
Yep.
And mine, it definitely has some heat to it. So that Angelbird is very well built, and I think worth the money. It's about $80.
Yeah, it's not very much. And
It's
I did
not
also
terrible.
get the SD reader too, and I've had some problems with it, to be quite honest. It likes to interrupt my files, and I don't know if it's the way it works or I don't know. Anyways, I've gone away from using the Angelbird SD reader to be honest, but the CF Express one works great, and it's been flawless with no issues, and like you said, $80 and no heat issues at all. So
You shoot in the Z9. You're shooting CF Express Type B, also, aren't you, Mark?
Yeah, and this is a great pro tip for me. Was unaware of this, and my cards, I mean, they are hot when I take them out. So I wrote it down as you're speaking. It's like, thanks. I got to remember to look into that and order it. For that reason only, I mean, the cards are expensive, especially when I bought them. And so if it helps extend their life. And I've often wondered about that. They get so hot. I have, I'm going to talk about in a minute here too, another SD drive, or SSD drive, solid state. It could get smoking hot, right? It's like, how's that going to last? But yeah, so I didn't know this, so I'll have to source one of those too. Makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Stan, for the tip.
Yeah, no doubt.
Stolen shamelessly.
Just
Shared.
passed on shamelessly.
There you go.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, my CF Express cards get hot too.
How about your pro tips? Are they hot?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Here's another one. This is a travel one, and I know I've mentioned. Well, it's actually not a travel one. It starts as a travel one, and I'll just say it before again because I've said it in the past. But rental cars, their travel is still expensive, and especially we book our trips a long way in advance to make sure everything's in place so that it will hopefully happen. But the car rentals get, and same with accommodations sometimes too, if you watch, can get cheaper closer to the timeline. It depends if it's a busy season where you're going. A lot of our trips with fall wildlife, it's quieter for tourism. So that probably is part of the reason why rates go down closer to the time, because if keen people have reserved whatever it is, accommodations or vehicles, and whatever they have left, tourism's not robust, then they lower the rates. It could be different if it was a summer trip somewhere, so it might not be the same. But I've noticed consistently through all these years that car rates go down, and it's always worth revisiting that. So I always make sure when I reserve a car that it's fully cancelable, and that way I can make the shift if that opportunity comes up. And some of them, last year, one of the car rentals was $1,000 less than when I'd originally booked it. I booked it in like March, and by fall I'd saved over $1,000 by rebooking it. So something to watch and check for, a month, 3 weeks, whatever out before the trip, just in case you have that opportunity. But why this comes up is it's a similar kind of situation that happened to me today with internet providers, Wi-Fi, cell phones, and it's kind of galls me in a way. And this isn't to be negative, but I've been a customer of a company's for decades, and so I'll check. And this is, and what I'm referring to right now is Wi-Fi at the house here, and get the monthly bill. It's always the same. Everything's consistent. It's fine. But periodically, go to your service provider's website and check what they're offering for rates, because in the competitive marketplace, they go down, and for some reason, they don't have the customer support where they will lower the existing customers and say, "Hey, thank you for being a customer all these years. We've lowered our rate and we're saving you this money now." Good move.
For some reason, yeah.
Right. So I looked today. No, I've heard this story from other friends, and especially older friends, older family members that don't check this stuff, assume it's always the same, and are paying hundreds of dollars more monthly than what they should be. So anyway, my Wi-Fi is $155 a month plus tax, but new customers can sign up today for $60 a month for the first year. That's a big difference. Existing customers aren't eligible for that. But the new rate is $110 a month instead of $155. So $45 difference. And all I had to do is sit on the phone for 15 minutes to get through to somebody and say, "Hey, can you make this switch?" "Oh, sure. Yes, we'll do that for you." It's like, anyway, it's not my quick pro tip is just to revisit that stuff with any of your plans with providers, and just check periodically, twice a year, see what they're offering, and maybe you'll save some money and get a better plan. And traditionally, at least in the last number of years, cell phone plans and stuff have come down from my experience, and we've been able to move over to better ones. And that's another funny little spin. When we do move over, it can be quite impressive what the company that I left now offers to come back, like a quarter of the rate. If you come back, we'll give you so anyway, watch that stuff, because you can save enough for a plane fare somewhere on a trip or something if you get counted over a year, right? Who knows?
That's a really good one, Mark. And I know for us, we've even got them to give us the new rate that a new person would get, because of just the threat of leaving. It's like, "Hey, I got other options," and they're like, "Well, if you stick around, we'll give you the rate," So sometimes it is worth your time to just make the phone call and check. There's no question, And they count on people not checking and not calling, right? So it's a great tip.
Live and learn.
Matter of fact, I better do some checking.
I think Ron's doing that right now. He's looking off to the corner of the screen.
I was actually checking to see. So here's another one. Travel wise, just piggyback. It's not an actual what I was thinking, but if you have a travel card, put your purchases for the month on there, be disciplined with it, pay it off every month. As many expenses as you can put on there, because you're gaining points and miles. And so I've been doing that with Drew. So I'm coordinating a workshop through Drew Hamilton up in Churchill. And I have been making my payments on my travel card and then pay it off the same day. And then I have to wait a couple of days for the payment to post and then make another one. But I had enough points in there had enough points accumulated that I could have bought my plane ticket for free. Well, they don't give you the points immediately. You have to not only wait to the end of your billing cycle, but then you got to wait 10 days after that. And I couldn't wait any longer to purchase a ticket. So I had to purchase one. Was not happy. Did the same thing Mark is just talking about. Sat on the phone with them, talked to several people. I wasn't rude, but they knew I was not happy about the situation and the way things went, because I did it for a very specific reason. sitting on the phone, got my ticket for much, much less than what it would be purchasing it, just going online and purchasing it. But it also got upgraded to first class. So I get to fly for first class both ways for less than what a coach ticket would have cost. So, yeah, I wish it was a longer flight at this point.
That's so good.
You get to cheese with that wine? Good gravy, Ron.
Sometimes, I mean,
yeah. Hey,
sometimes a squeaky wheel, right?
Yeah.
Gets the grease. So
that's funny. This is how these pro tip episodes always go, but it just makes us all think of other things. And back to your car rental trick, Mark. I don't know if you use Costco travel, but I know for a fact that you rent a car through Costco, it is significantly cheaper than most people can get just by trying to go through Avis or Hertz or whatever yourself. Even if you have status with them, even if you have, your Wizard program or whatever it is with whatever car rental company. So it's worth checking, something to check into. I just found that out really recently. So
yeah,
another way that we can all save a little bit of money, to help pay for trips and gear. So
definitely. Yeah, it's important. And yeah, my Philly's got Costco, so I need to check that. And a friend of mine, Eni, has brought that up on many years. He always goes through Costco and gets a better deal. I've done Expedia, and I have, just because of the frequency with which I book them, I get some kind of kickback. It's a loyalty % back. It's not huge, but I noticed comparing to other accesses of those same popular rental car companies, I do better than that. But Costco may even be, it's always for the extra 2 minutes worth checking it. Their websites are all user friendly. That's a good advice.
Good travel episode.
Yeah, basically. It's kind of turning on there because the next thing I have kind of fits with it too.
So my first one is just organizing yourself in the field, and there's a couple different things that I don't think people realize. For one, Canon batteries, they give you the yellow cap that goes on the back of the battery. It's got this little cutout battery on it. And the way that that's intended to be used, on the back of the Canon battery, there's a dark side and there's a blue side. And so the way that I use it, some people do it the opposite, but the way that I use it is when a battery has a full charge, I put it so the blue is showing through the battery. And that way I know it's a full battery. And then when I take it out and it's spent, I switch it and the black is showing through the battery. I know that battery needs a charge. So it helps me 2 times in the field. If I'm reaching for a new battery, I know what I'm getting and I can hustle, get the fresh battery in and get back to shooting. But also when I get back to wherever in the evening, if I'm going to do any charging, I know which ones need to be thrown on the charger and which ones are good to go for the next day. So it's just an organizational thing. And then the same way, organization in the field with my cards. So everybody's got a different system. Some people have, their labels put on their card holder. If it's a fresh card, it's showing with the face out in the card carrier. And then if it's a spent card, I put them in backwards so that, and we'll put better video up for YouTube, but I throw them in backwards so I know which ones are spent, which ones are fresh. And before I go out to, especially a long trip, everything's formatted and ready to go so I don't have to wonder. But then once that card's flipped backwards, it's spent and it stays out of the camera. I'll download it at night, of course, do my backup in the evening, but that doesn't get erased until I get home. So,
and Rob, will you hold that up one more time?
Yep. Which this side? Does it matter?
The one that are not used.
Yep.
Will you take that one on your left and turn it over? My OCD is going to drive you crazy the rest of this episode if you leave it upside down.
What if I do this? Jason?
Oh no, don't do it. I shouldn't have said anything. That's even worse.
Is that better? And then it just leaves the Lexar, and then
All right. I'm just teasing. Oh, it's funny. That's a good one.
just some organizational things in the field that'll keep you from throwing in a dead battery or throwing in a card that you don't have any room on.
And boy, would it suck to throw a card in that you had already been using and got some great stuff on and format it and retake photos.
That's why I format before I go out, just for that exact reason, because lose everything is a nightmare.
I don't format anything in the field. I do the same thing. I flip them with the backside, showing if it's full card.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
And the battery thing is different because the Z9 doesn't.
Yeah, you just have a battery that you can use for 4 days.
Well, not 4 days. I still have to have. I have a bunch of batteries, but yeah, it's good battery life.
Mm-hmm.
I do get sad about my DA50. That's mine, but I'll go.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, with the R5, with the grip, it was fine. With the extra juice, and now any idea on that? Does the Mark II battery life with the PE improve?
Supposedly, it has longer battery life, and that's another thing that I'm going to go out with a single battery and just see how long I can video for.
Cool.
Because that drains it faster. So go out and get some footage and just see what kind of battery life it does have. But yeah, the single battery it was tough to shoot that way. And that's why the battery grip was important to me. And I thought the fan would be the way to go, but yeah, it's got to have that other functionality. So, who's up?
So exciting.
Did we decide?
Yeah. My next one's a gadget one, and this is such a simple one. You guys are probably gonna laugh, and everybody probably is already aware of these things. But these things, I think I probably bought 3 packs of these things over the last couple years because I use them for everything. They are so handy, and not just for my photography gear, but I definitely use them with that too. But Think Tank Red Whips. They're such a simple little product. Trying to make sure you guys can see it there, but they're essentially just like a stretchy cable tie. You just wrap it through itself and cinch it down. It works really super simple. And I have these in my bag all the time. There's 4 or 5 in my bag, and they're great for attaching stuff to a pack, to tying cables together to keep them organized, to using them on extension cords in the garage. You just go on and on. These things are just super handy, and I have them like on all kinds of stuff. So they're not very expensive. I think this is like $10 or $12 for this package of whatever many you get. 2 long whips and 10 medium whips. And every time not every time, but when I go into picture line and I'm running low, I just grab me another pack of them. But they're awesome. I use them all the time. Yeah, I haven't whipped anybody with them yet, but
That immediately makes me think JG should be throwing some Devo over the top of that little section.
Right. But that's a real quick, simple one. I love the things. They come in super handy. It's a simple little thing, but use them all the time for all kinds of stuff. So they come in handy. I just threw 3 or 4 in my pack and leave them in there, and every now and then it's like, yep, I need to grab one. So
yeah, awesome. I do the same with cheap carabiners. That don't hold a lot of weight, but are small, but you do have the potential for maybe more noise with that, depending on what they're attached to. You have to be more careful. Do your whips come in another color besides Ferrari red?
I do not think they do. They are called red whips. And I think whips. That is about the only option you got. Yeah. So
okay.
I'm guessing that's a no.
Yeah. But I like the red too because it kind of makes whatever you're looking for in your pack kind of stand out too, or whatever. So But I do the same thing with carabiners too, especially with like water bottles and stuff. I have 4 or 5 carabiners I use to attach stuff to my pack and stuff all the time. But yeah, with the whatever you say it, mole systems on a lot of the backpacks that they're out now, these little red whips work great for attaching stuff to that too. So
I wrote it down.
The carabiner.
I wrote it down. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to check them out too. And yeah, it's fantastic. And be silent, which is bonus. Carabiners, I have 1 or 2 Nalgene's I always take with me for water, and I just clip them to anything for the day or for flying. And it's something, when you go through security of the airport and everything else, all liquid's emptied. So it's empty, obviously, but you go through, almost all airports have water sources, drinkable water, potable water that you can fill with. So it saves, buying expensive water in the airport. But I have a carabiner on that, so it's just clipped to my backpack or to my laptop bag. And when I get to the seat, the little pouch in front of us, it won't fit the Nalgene, but I just open the carabiner and clip it on the lip of the pouch, and then I have all that water for the flight as well, instead of the little tiny cups that they give during the flight and all that plastic that they got to throw out or recycle, recycle, but still the consumption of it. So 1 Nalgene carries me through a long flight, and then they'll fill it up too. You get up, walk it to the back where the flight attendants are, and they'll fill it with drinking water there. So you're right. The attachment thing, it got me going on another pro tip bonus. Thanks, Jason.
What's your real one?
It's still my turn. Oh, it doesn't count. Okay. I was getting off easy.
It doesn't get you off the hook.
That's a bonus. Yeah. Save the one for another episode. The other ones, one I would like to close with, but the other ones are all about shooting styles. So here's one. When shooting, when going afield, especially if it's somebody's new with working a species. And sure, you've seen stuff on YouTube, on social media, or in books and magazines about species that you're interested in photographing. When wanting to build a portfolio, it all starts from somewhere. So any image is good, but it's highly recommended to study the behavior, learn about that species and what they do, why they do it, when they do it, where they do it, to help fine-tune your efforts in the field, to come away with more on, we all have limited time off work, whatever it might be, in the field on a given trip. So by studying a species beforehand and knowing what the potential is, you'll be training your eye for what to look for in the field as far as what they're doing. You might have seen something that will trigger you to, if they're doing this, it's going to lead to this behavior, and give you a far greater opportunity to come home from that adventure with a greater portfolio of images, because before you left, your mind was educated as to what that animal does at that time of year and why, when, and where. Helps build the portfolio faster.
That's awesome.
Kevin, our recent guest, Kevin, was a great example of the need for that, right? He definitely had to understand the animal's behaviors to know where to set up his camera traps. And that's true for anybody that's doing camera trapping, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the time he spent was effort in knowing and understanding those behaviors and where to set up the camera trap before he could even begin to think about getting an image, right? So, and it's true if we're hand holding too, obviously.
So that leads right into my next one.
Perfect.
And that is shoot the things you don't want to shoot. If you're a wildlife shooter, go out during the summertime, shoot the county fair, shoot a rodeo, shoot anything else, any sporting events, kids sporting events that are going on. It's always practice. And I guarantee you at some point while you're shooting the things that you don't want to shoot, you're going to realize just how easy it is. It makes you calm down in the field when you're there and things are going on that you don't want to miss. You've already done the work. You've put in the practice. You can relax in the field and pay attention to those behaviors that Mark was just talking about, and those cues as to, hey, when I need to be on high alert, when I need to be ready. Everything's just ready to go. You're paying attention to your aperture, you're paying attention to your white balance, you're paying attention to shutter speed, because you've been doing it in a relaxed setting all summer, practicing, shooting the things that you normally wouldn't shoot. And then the other side of that is, everybody asks me, how do you afford all this gear? You guys have been asked the same thing, I know. How do you afford to upgrade your gear when this thing comes around? Well, I promise you, if you shoot the things that you don't like to shoot, you're going to find people that'll pay you for those images as well. So it's another little source of income that you wouldn't normally have. And one of the things that I do is I'll go out and shoot time lapses. So I shoot these 1-day time lapses. I've never owned a true camera trap. I've always just used, GoPros or trail cameras. So in setting up my trail cameras to shoot time lapse, something that Mike used to do on the Dick's Sporting Goods construction projects, for instance, you can set those things to shoot 1 picture an hour during daylight hours. In doing that, somebody said, well, this is great, but I would like to have higher quality images. So guess what Ron just got to order today? My very first camera trap, because they want high resolution images. And guess who's not paying for it? That would be Ron. So, shooting those things that you wouldn't normally want to shoot, that's not your passion. But make your gear work for you in a positive direction, and every little thing helps. So starting with the trail cameras got me to where they want the picture or the project enhanced. And part of that was, hey, well, this is a need. If you want me to do that, this is what I need to do it. And got it.
Awesome.
So
Can I expand on that a little bit?
That's what we do, Jason.
Oh, right. I love it. That's a great one. And I think, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but just to reiterate, also when you're in the field, if you're out there shooting wildlife, shoot the things you don't want to shoot, right? Like even it's as applicable there. Shoot the cows that are milling around in the meadow by themselves. Shoot the behavior that the cows are doing. We all want the big bull. It's bugle, and there's no doubt. But when there's a lull in the action, don't be afraid to shoot the raghorns, sparring with each other, and just that general elk behavior, right? I mean, if you're trying to tell a story and you want to build a portfolio, you really need all that behavior. You really do. And as we all know, we get asked for those things very commonly, right? So it's not, shoot the bull in the middle of the road with the cars around it. Shoot the cows crossing the road. Do it all, shoot it all, because it can all potentially make you money. There's no question about it. So that's a great one, Ron.
You guys are dialed in tonight. This is a good episode. And Ron, with what you're saying, by just shooting all of these other things, your camera becomes naturally more an extension of you. For that, you're also calmer in the field, but the functionality becomes second nature, right? And it can be impressive how quickly you can spin those dials and change the settings when you're that used to it, that focused with your gear. So fantastic tips, both of them. And yeah, it's years ago an elk on the road was like, well, wasn't that exciting to photograph, but there's more and more human wildlife conflict issues going on. So I personally watch for that stuff, and yeah. So yeah, anyway, I had some fun opportunities filming that. Do it all. So, sorry, whose turn are we at?
Yours.
It's yours again, yeah.
Oh, really?
No, you said
that was like him getting a little bonus one and getting counted like I couldn't. Yeah, you could have had me at that too. Okay.
You said you had a wrap up one. You said you had a wrap up one, so we'll go to Jason first.
Yeah, it was just for me. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, this will be my last one. Yeah, this will be
Okay.
my last one, and it's one we've talked about before, but this one's more of a just when you're in the field. And I had this experience recently. I went over to Colorado to try to photograph some stuff, and I was getting away, and I was really nice to get away, and I took the opportunity to just stop shooting and just enjoy the elements, the country I was in, the animals doing their thing. I'd gotten the shots I wanted, and it was just really nice to just sit there and just breathe and just be, grateful I was where I was at and able to do what I'm doing and have that experience and enjoy the animals. And I know it sounds a little corny, I get it, but I really do. That's why I go out there, right? I go out there because it refreshes me. And if it's always run and gun, go, 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 sometimes I'm not as refreshed as I could be. So I'm really trying to do more of that when it's the situation's right and I don't have, I've got the shots I want, whatever, just to sit down and just enjoy what I'm doing and just be there, be in the moment, and take my eye away from the viewfinder. We live our lives through our viewfinder so much. It's nice to just stop and experience things a little bit and have those experiences and take them in. And Mark, you've mentioned this before. Ron, you have too. But it's just something that was recently a kind of a big deal for me, and it was amazing how much of an impact it had on me because of the things that were going through my mind and everything that was going on at the time. So yeah, just a reminder to, not when it's in the middle of the heat of the action, obviously, but there's always moments to be able to just stop and take it in and refresh yourself. So
It's very important.
Awesome.
That's what it's all about. My favorite days in the field are when I'm with subjects like caribou, moose, and they bed down for 2 or 3 hours, and we do the same. And you might do the odd bedded shot, to illustrate that behavior, but just basically check out in that environment for that period of time. There's nothing more peaceful. There really isn't anything more peaceful. So, yeah, it's fantastic and good to remind people. And we all need reminding of it at times too. I know I do, but anyway, it's yeah, well said. So this is my
So, are you going to
next
go? Or I thought you were going to wrap up.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna
Well, I
hang
know,
off.
but I thought it was going to be the last one.
Okay, sure.
Is it going to be the last one, or do you want to go now?
You want to do another? You can go do another. I'll
Well,
wait.
I got one more. I've got one more.
Okay.
That kind of goes off of what Jason was just talking about, and then yours can be.
Well,
You said you had a good wrap up one, so I
it
want
was
to
wrap
leave
up
that for
me,
you.
but we can wrap up the whole. You just said it. You want to do another one? Share, brother.
Go ahead.
No, what do you mean? Go ahead. You just told me.
All right. So yesterday, and this will date the episode a little bit, but yesterday was World Photography Day. And I don't know about all these days. I don't know if they're a real thing or if somebody just pulls something out of their backside and throws it on Instagram and everybody else follows suit. But yesterday was World Photography Day, supposedly. And I have no evidence of that except that everybody posted it on Instagram. And one of the things that it got me thinking about, and Jason was just talking about enjoying time by yourself, and we all need that. But one of the things that it made me think about, and it kind of pulled me back to especially the first in the field trip. Well, no, it was the second in the field trip that I took with Mark. But the first one that was kind of in his wheelhouse that he didn't sleep through because it wasn't grouse. But just the friends that you make in the field, and sometimes it's just a happy accident. You're just shooting something, all of a sudden strike up a conversation with somebody else that might be in the area, depending on where you're shooting. Again, the times alone are fantastic, but also the people that I've met in the field have made a lot of scenarios better. Just because the way those relationships can kind of snowball and grow, and everything just builds the network. But there's a lot of great people out there. and I don't focus on the shooting so much, to go along with what Jason said, that number one, you don't enjoy the place you are in, but also you don't enjoy the people that you're around. I like to have fun in the field too. There's times where you dial in, everything gets quiet, and you're just focused on what you're doing. But I like to have a good time as well. That's why I'm there. And so those people that you meet in the field, don't be afraid to strike up a conversation next time you're out there. Maybe it'll become somebody that you shoot with a lot in the future. So, and you guys are two examples of that. All right, Mark, bring us home, baby.
That was a good closer, dude. Though that's awesome, and that's what so much of this is about. How many? I mean, our listeners know it. You go to some of your favorite places, favorite haunts year after year, and the same people are there, and you coordinate it, that way. And they're super friends. They're like chosen family that I get to see once or twice a year. Sometimes I miss them a year, but there's so many over the decades that I just love to see, and I could list a lot of names.
So what was that 2018 when we went north
you're talking
northern
about
Alberta?
when you invented and patented the boot dryer?
No, before that. It was
before that.
We were shooting black bears.
And yeah,
that's
the years.
That's kind of the first time that I kind of saw your photography family, so to speak.
Okay, right.
And some of those people have become good friends of mine just because of that trip, and Mark's introducing them to me. In fact, Eric and Debbie Brewer, they spend time in Yellowstone every year.
Got me too.
They spend time in Yellowstone every year, and they're always close, but it's always, I'm always shooting grouse. And this year I kind of took the year off of that. And so I went over, it was only for a day, but went over and shot with Eric and Debbie. And, we've only been around each other very few times. Once in Alberta, once in Alaska, and then once in Yellowstone. But they're people that I'm not talking to daily, but every once in a while we'll just send each other a message, and you care about how each other's doing. And it's just good to touch base. And the first time that I kind of saw that, I was always shooting by myself, was up there with Mark in Alberta, and he, we were all wanting to go shoot, and he said, let's go have dinner. Well, they're still light. Nah, let's go have dinner. And we end up having dinner and just great conversation. And you just grow and build those relationships doing something like that. So that became pretty important to me after that point.
Yeah, they're at the top of my list for my West Coast family, and by the time this airs, I will have been in the field with them again, which has been almost a year since I've seen them. So that'll be welcomed very much. But yeah, there's so many people who feel the same passion and about all of this that we do, and when you meet them and you can coordinate trips, and whenever it happens to be overlapping, that's fantastic. And it's funny, I love revisiting some of the same stories and jokes that happened over the years, some of the good times, some of the mistakes, some of the celebrations, some of the pranks. When we sit around a table and have dinner and they come up, it just brings up fond memories, right? There's a lot of layers to it. It's fantastic. So my last, and there are lots of names on that list, I would add as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So something that came up today, I had a gentleman on Instagram message that he was had listened to a podcast, and he's excited about becoming a wildlife and conservation photographer, and he's good at what he does image wise, and was going to leave his day job to pursue this. And I mean, I don't know him and or his situation other than a page on Instagram and appreciating his work. And anyway, he's well prepared for it. Thankfully thought it out and mapped it out and seems to have a sensible approach from the brief correspondence we had. But it caused me to reflect a little bit. And obviously everybody listening, we're all different. We're in different situations. Some people just enjoy listening to the podcast because of the trips, the stories, the photography that is encapsulated around, or the guests. Some people can't do these trips because of monetary reasons, because of restrictions in life, family, work, whatever it might be, different part of the world they live in. But there are those that can as well. So there are all these different demographics of people. But what I wanted to bring up was that we're all different. No matter how our passions align, what happens to each of us, we have our own path. And special things will happen, unpredictable things will happen, and we share the stories, you share this life together, but we are on our own path and our own trials, tribulations, successes, and celebrations will all unfold, with those around us, supporting us. But again, recognizing that we're doing this as individuals. But so in summary, life is short, and, we should pursue our dreams. We should, but do so sensibly and for what fits for every individual. So I love that we're sharing all this energy and positiveness and creativity about wildlife, nature, photography, planet Earth, all this amazing atmosphere around us. And we all have that in common. But just recognize that we're all individuals. Celebrate your own successes, no matter how small, and celebrate the effort and move forward with that positiveness in mind. So we'll wrap up this show. It's been fun doing a pro tip episode. That went quickly and in predictably different directions. So I'm excited. Let's do this again. Let's do it. Let's run another one in a month or something and have some more fun. And I can't wait to hear, given the cusp of activity about to happen in the field for you guys, how you like those new cameras, new and improved tools. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Can't wait to try it out.
Thanks, Canon, for getting them to us before fall.
Yes. As much as I've whined about the wait, because I thought this was going to come earlier this spring, it's been worth the wait. Hopefully we'll find out that it definitely was, and can't wait to put it to the test in what's my favorite season of the year. So
good stuff. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate all of you. Take care. Till next time. Did I cut you off? We can do more if I did. All right. I hope I didn't. I wanted to be succinct, kind of. No?
Yeah.
Ron's not saying anything. That's a wrap for another episode of Beyond the Wild podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Pictureline.com, your online source for everything photography, and Canon USA. Follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Wild Podcast, and make sure to check out our website at beyondthewildpodcast.com for additional show notes, information, and photographs for all of our episodes. You can watch our podcast on YouTube, where we'll include video and photo content, and subscribe. We welcome your comments, questions, and feedback on all of our social media platforms. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Wild Podcast. Until next time, embrace adventure in the great outdoors with a camera in hand.